All right, good evening. I would say everyone, but it's just you, Shemai. Oh, here we go, Adriana. Welcome, Adriana. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Cindy Escurra, and I am the Admissions and Operations Specialist for the Division of Professional Studies. I want to welcome you to the UMBC Community Leadership Program Virtual Open House. We hope that you enjoy the presentation, and without further ado, I want to introduce you to the Graduate Program Director, Sally. I believe, okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Cindy, and welcome, Adriana and Shemaya. We're going to, run through these slides. We're a small group, so I'd say if there's something that I say as I'm speaking about the slides that's not clear, just feel free to unmute yourselves and ask the question. And then, we'll have the more formal question and answer period at the end as well. So this first slide shows a break during a class that was taught this January, a skills course, which I'll describe in a minute, called Digital Storytelling. And what I love about this slide is it just shows the energy and the range of people that were in this program. We had folks who are not enrolled at UMBC, who are community residents. We had graduate students at UMBC, staff members, and they really had a fantastic time learning the skill of digital storytelling together. So we've introduced ourselves. I'm the graduate director of the program, and Cindy is an admissions specialist. The overarching purpose, really, of the Community Leadership Program is designed to prepare aspiring and practicing leaders with the skills and experience needed to enact transformative social change. That's kind of a mouthful. One thing I want to point out is that we have people in our program who range from their 20s to their 50s. So that means we have folks coming right out of college who are figuring out what they want to do. They think this is the path they want to take. And then we have folks who've been working in a variety of fields for a number of years, some of which are community oriented, others are not, and they're finding a new path and coming into the community leadership field. And that diversity works really well for us. People learn a lot from each other and from their really different perspectives and experiences. We have two programs. If you've taken a look at the website, you probably know this, that we offer a Master's of Professional Studies, which is a modest number of credits for a master's. It's 30 credits. And then we have a 4-course post-baccalaureate certificate. And one really nice thing is that once you get into the program and you're taking these courses, we are not really distinguishing between the master's students and the certificate students. They're taking the identical courses. The master's students just take more. And then, so if you decide to go into the program, do the certificate and say, hey, I really like this, I want to do the master's, it's very easy to do because you're already taking the courses that the master's students are taking. And we'll take a closer look at that. So if you're not familiar with an MPS degree, Master's of Professional Studies, it is a well-recognized credential in Maryland and nationally. It focuses on both broad academic learning and specialized skills. We have very much hands-on learning. In our case, that means not going into a laboratory, but going into a neighborhood and working with community partners. And the goal of it is really to help you develop as a person and help your career development. And we're very much seeing that so far as our students go through the program. They are sometimes changing their work, their field, their jobs while they're still in the program, and certainly afterwards, if that's what they want to do. Some folks come in, they love their job, but they want to add a new dimension to it. And our program helps them to do that as well. So why might you want to do the MPS? We'll talk about the certificate in a minute, but if you're interested in the master's program, and a lot of these reasons why you might want to do the master's are similar to what you would want to do the certificate. First of all, as I've said, you're joining a really kind of wonderful cohort of students. People come into our program because they want to make change happen, and they like doing that from a kind of community-based perspective. When I say community-based, that can be nonprofit, that can be for-profit, social enterprise, and that can be government. We have really wonderful faculty. If you go onto our website, you can read all the names and see all the faces. But what we have is a mix of people who are based at UMBC and people who are really community-based or nonprofit-based, but love to teach. So they'll come in and teach one course a semester or one course a year for the program. What you should expect to experience if you come into the program is academic growth. We care a lot about introducing ideas and, descriptions of history and politics and community organizations that you can access both through written materials, but also we use podcasts and videos as well. But there's also an emphasis on skills. And we have a whole set of courses that are devoted to helping you improve your skills. And then finally, we encourage hands-on experience. So you would work both in the introductory class and the capstone class with a community partner. And we understand that many of our students are working during the day. And so these are the kinds of partnerships you can do, weekends, nights. If you're able to do stuff during the day, that's great, but we don't expect people to be able to take off during the day to do them. We kind of provide the knowledge and the tools to really understand the issues that are facing our communities, but also their strengths and their assets. That's a really critical part of our perspective. And we kind of help you develop to the point where you can really deliver a product in your community partnership project, an intellectual product that can benefit you and your growth, but also benefits the organization you're working with. So it's not necessarily a traditional research paper. It might be a fundraising plan. It might be a curriculum. It could be a website. It just depends on what they need and what you have the interest and the skills to do. Here is a picture from our Introduction to Community Leadership class. We teach that class out of a classroom that UMBC has in Southwest Baltimore City. So we're not on the UMBC regular campus, but we do have a classroom in the city. And every year we take a long walk through that neighborhood because it's got a fascinating mix of history, current development, controversy, all kinds of things are going on just within the, a mile stroll around our classroom. And that was our group a couple of years ago taking that walk. And that's with the bicycle is one of the nonprofit leaders in the area. And with the colorful shirt here is a community leader also from the area. We are in the middle of a shift in our required courses. So what I've got showing on this page is not what you're going to see on the website. And that's because we are in the middle of the shift and we need that all the I's dotted and T's crossed till we can put it on our website. But this is where we're headed. And that is to have, for our required courses, the Introduction to Community Leadership, the one I just showed you the picture of, a methods and methodology course, which is specific to community leadership. Prior to this, and what you'll still see on the website, is we required our students to take either a public policy or a sociology methodology course. Good courses, but not as aligned with community leadership as we wanted. So 2 of our faculty members have stepped up and designed a methodology course that's really specific to community leadership, and we're introducing that next fall. We're really excited about that. We also offer a course in legal and ethical issues in community leadership. This is not a highly technical course. I think sometimes people hear the word legal and worry that it's going to be technical. It's taught by somebody with a law degree, but who has worked in both in nonprofits and government to benefit communities all his career. And so he really knows how to take these issues and show you how they work in the real world. And that course has become very popular. I mentioned the skills courses. So we are requiring each of our students to take 3 short skills courses. So they're only 1 credit. These other courses are all 3 credits. These courses are 5 weeks long, and they are once a week, 5 weeks. So they're exactly 1/3 of what you're expected to do in a 3-credit course. And they, I mentioned the digital storytelling. We're going to have grant writing, strategic planning, grassroots advocacy, community organizing, social justice leadership and dialogue, restorative practices, and asset-based community development. Those are our skills courses. So this is a great set of courses, and all of our students are required to take 3 of them, and they have also become very popular. Then the final course, which you take in your final semester, ideally, is a capstone project. And that's a combination of a seminar where we do, readings and videos and podcasts and discussion and reflection, and then a community project where you're working with a partner. So in addition to the required courses in the master's, you take 12 credits that are elective. And what we found is that it works very well for me to work with you to design your own pathway, to kind of find a coherent set of elective courses that fit your interests and your growth. We do have some pathways that are already laid out in the nonprofit social sector, in social entrepreneurship and urban studies, and those are all good. But I think it works best to kind of for me to sit down with you as you enter the program, figure out what your interests really are, and then what courses, whether they're these courses or other electives that we have available that really fit your interests. I'm just going to hop back up here because I'm going to hop back up here. If you're doing the certificate, you do exactly as I said, you do exactly the same courses as the master's, but you only do the required courses minus the legal and ethical issues. So you do the intro, methods, 3 1-credit courses, and a capstone project. Okay. So that, it's a more condensed, but you get a lot of really valuable course time, and you get to know all the other students in the program as you're moving through. Now, I mentioned those skills courses that are 3 of those are required. And here we bring in people who are really expert in a particular area and give them 5 weeks to help you really gain that skill. And so it's, it's short, but it's very well designed. And you do different things. Some of them you'll get out of the classroom, some of them you'll stay in the classroom. Just depends on what skill we're talking about. If you really love these skills courses and you've done your 3 for your requirement, you can take up to 3 more for a total of 6. The 3 additional ones will count as an elective, as one of your elective courses. And what we found is people can immediately apply this to their personal life and to their professional careers. So they're very useful. So I mentioned on the right, if you can see the screen, that's our Line Brothers classroom. It's a renovated factory, fantastic building. A lot of interesting Baltimore nonprofit organizations have offices there. We have on the far right, we have a classroom on the first floor. And then also a number of courses are offered on the beautiful UMBC Catonsville campus, which you can see kind of an aerial view there. If you've spent time there, it's really a lovely campus and with a lot of great classroom facilities. For the admissions requirements, we do require a bachelor's degree, but it doesn't have to be in a particular subject. It can really be in any subject. We desire a minimum undergraduate GPA of 3.0, but that is flexible. It really depends on if you kind of your narrative, the story you have to tell. If you didn't get a 3.0, what was going on? And then maybe if you've been out of school for a while, what's been going on since you were in school. You also submit a resume and a goal statement. No GREs, tests like that are required. An official transcript. Letters of reference are optional for domestic students. They are required for international. I like them. I like getting a letter of reference that kind of explains who you are from somebody else's perspective, but they're definitely not a requirement. And then there is an application fee, though. Cindy, you can let us know if they're going to be able to waive that application fee today.
Okay. After we'll talk about it after.
Okay, you can jump in later. This is the current tuition costs and fees. It's $880 per credit if you are a Maryland resident or if you live in certain regions adjacent to Maryland. That includes the DC area, I think all of Delaware, parts of Pennsylvania, and correct me if I'm wrong, parts of Virginia. I don't know, Cindy, if you know that, but we can easily, that's one of those questions we can either answer now or get back to you about. We do have needs-based scholarships. They are not full scholarships, at least not yet. We're working to raise money, but they are substantial, $10,000 scholarships, and you apply for those through our website. So if you go on our website, you'll see the application form there that you can fill out. If you have additional questions about financial aid and scholarships, also you can get to those via our website. Here's the website is offered here as well, and student business services kind of for other financial questions. So that is really it for our formal presentation. I'm just going to ask Cindy if she has anything to add. Our website, our email addresses are here. If you, I don't know if you're, Shemai, if you're driving, we can easily give these to you verbally as well.
So I just wanted to add that we will not be giving out the $50 waivers today for open house.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to quit the sharing and just really encourage you to either put a question in the chat or unmute yourself. It's always nice to hear people's voices if you want to ask a question. And I might even ask you questions. Yeah, Adriana.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I have a question about the pathways. I seen that you can design your own pathway, and I wanted to know how many, like, is there a requirement of how many courses that you have to choose from a specific pathway group, like nonprofit or like urban cities?
Good, really good question. Yeah, so we have a really substantial number of elective courses to choose from for those pathways beyond nonprofit sector, social enterprise, urban studies. The challenges and why we don't, we mention in our website, we mention some of the other fields that are available, courses from those other fields are available as electives. The reason we don't put the specific courses on our website is they're constantly changing as people, faculty change or departments change. But I can just mention some of those areas. There's a couple of American Studies courses. There are, we talked about entrepreneurship, innovation, and leadership. That's where the social enterprise courses are. There's geography and environmental science, some from there, language literacy and culture, or modern languages and literacy. Those also include cross-cultural communication and kind of culturally oriented courses. We also make courses available from public policy. Those are very popular, and sociology. And some of the nonprofit sector courses are in sociology. I've actually been open to if you find a graduate course that is a particular interest to you, and the person teaching that course is open to it being an elective for us, I'm open to having that conversation. But what I can do, if you follow up with me, just send me an email, is I can share with you that list of elective courses.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Adriana. I'm going to go ahead and share the question that Shemaya asked in the chat. She said, I am seeing that much of the courses are not available in this coming summer. For the certificate, when would a person be fully enrolled and able to select available courses?
Good question. So our current application cycle is for the fall. So you could apply now, find out if you get in or not, and then start taking courses. Well, here, I'm going to back up for a second. Oh, very good. Adriana, nice to see you. So yeah, you would apply for the fall. And if you got in, you could immediately start taking courses in the fall. There is a course that you could take over the summer, even before becoming an official student, which is one of our skills courses in grassroots advocacy. That's offered starting, I think, July 12th to August 18th. We could talk about, whether there's any kind of financial aid for that. Typically for the certificate, there is not financial aid. But if you start, if you want to take a kind of a test drive course and take this, try one of these skills courses, there may be financial aid for that over the summer. So you can tell me if that answers your question.
It does. It just also brings up an additional question for me. So in relation to fall enrollment, especially because it's a certificate, I'm just not as familiar. What is the expectation of, do you take one course a semester? Do you do two? Are you allowed to stack? How does that typically go? What is the expected length of completing a certificate?
Yeah, no, that's. I'm really glad you asked that question. We build a lot of flexibility in because we recognize we have folks who are working full time, who have families. We've had people get pregnant while they're in the program and need to take a semester or more off. So there is no one path in terms of the number of courses you take per semester. So, for example, in the certificate, we have people who are coming in, they want to get it done in a year, and they're very clear that that's what they're going to do. So they would come in and they would take our intro course and our methodology course, right? That first semester. And they may even take one of the skills courses as well. Then they could take a skills course in the winter, and then in the spring, they could take, they would take the capstone, which is 6 credits, plus the final skills course, and they'd be done. Okay, so you can do it that way, and it works. However, if that's more than you want to do, either in terms of time or money or both, you can come in and take one course. And I would strongly recommend that be the intro course, because that really sets the stage. I think both academically and socially. You would get to meet other people in the program, and just introduces you to a whole set of practices and skills and kind of ways of how we construct a learning community. We don't see this just as you're coming in to kind of punch a clock. We really want to build relationships among the students in our program. And that may just be in class. I'm saying you've got to go, spend your weekend socializing with people in the program. Most folks don't have time for that. Some do, though. I'm amazed that some folks are getting together outside of class. But just within the context of the program, we work pretty hard to get folks connected. And, we do a lot of breakout groups and, hearing from each other. So that's why we strongly encourage the intro course. Then you could take one course in the spring, or a set of the skills courses in the spring. And then you could come back and take the methodology course the following fall and the capstone course the following spring. So that's a 2-year plan. So does that help answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's a lot more clear. Thank you. I don't want to take up the whole time, Adriana. If you have a question, feel free to pop in. But I'm also a little bit curious about the capstone project. So I would assume it operates as many where, or maybe not because it's community leadership. But do you all assist with the partnering and the projects?
Mhm.
If you could talk a little bit more about what that capstone project looks like. And what they may have already historically been.
Yeah, very good. It works both ways. Some folks come in and they know exactly the group that they want to work with. Either somebody they already are working with, because that's fine. If you're working for an organization and you want to do your capstone project with it, that's fine. Or it's some organization they've discovered as they've been moving through the program that they want to partner with. But then we always have a set of students who come in not sure who they want to work with. And so my experience prior to coming to UMBC, this program started in 2019. My experience was working for a foundation and doing community development work in Baltimore. So, and I still, am in contact with a lot of those groups. So I have a number of organizations I'm connected with. Dr. Joby Taylor, who teaches the intro and capstone course with me. Also, he's been at UMBC doing community university work for 20 years. He has a lot of contacts. And what we've got now are organizations that have worked with our students in the past who want to work with more of our students. They've had really positive experiences. So there are a set of organizations we can recommend to you depending on your interests. So there's a lot of flexibility there.
Okay, thank you. Have you could you give an example of some of the projects that people do?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've got, I'll just pull it out of our current group. We've got a big class, a big capstone, 12 folks in there now. And their projects range from housing advocacy work. There's a group called Citizens Planning and Housing, and our student is working with them as they connect with neighborhood associations around town and push for an inclusionary housing ordinance in Baltimore City, which is basically the idea of new developments should include affordable housing as well as market rate. We have a student who for some time now has been very interested in working with doulas, people who assist in birth, with doulas in Baltimore City, specifically with an organization targeting Black women who are, pregnant and want a doula to work with. So she's working with them. What she's trying to help them figure out is how do they take advantage of a new law which provides some government support, funding for doulas, but it's not, it's hard. The process is hard. It's kind of bureaucratic. So how can women more easily access those resources so that they have a doula for their birth? And that's something she's worked on prior to the course and will probably continue to work on after the course. We have somebody who's based in Howard County, and she had taken our grassroots advocacy skills course, and she got really, which is taught by some people who are based in Howard County as well. And she said, I really want to focus on my county. And so she found a climate activist organization there that is working with teachers to incorporate climate change awareness into their curriculum, into their curricula. And so she's helping them develop those resources. So in each of these cases, I think what I was saying, you're not writing a paper. So the person doing the housing advocacy is probably going to show us, examples of the outreach work that they've done with these neighborhood associations, and how they've been able to, maybe even a document that shows all the information that they've gathered from those organizations. But it's in the format that's useful to the nonprofit. So it doesn't have to be in a research paper format. We do ask in that course, you do write a paper that's it's called community engaged scholarship. So that's kind of a paper about the process of doing your project. And then there's the deliverable, which is really what you have provided for that organization. So in the capstone, because it's a 6-credit course, you really produce both of those outcomes. And you present them. We have everybody kind of do a slideshow presenting what they have done to each other, because it's really interesting, what the process that they've been through, and then the kind of final product that they've created for their organization. So those are 3 examples that, there are a bunch more, but I think that captures some of the breadth of it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'd be curious to know if there's any particular field you're interested in, or that you've been working in, if you feel like sharing that.
Adriana, do you want to go? So my background is in K through 12, but right now I work in higher ed. But specifically for this certificate, I probably would change the population that I work with just to get like a different layer of experience. But I've worked in Baltimore City schools for a little bit as a community school coordinator. So that's really where I would say my background, my passion works. I've done some work with the choice program at UMBC.
Oh yeah.
So it varies. But social services work for sure. And specifically with at-risk youth.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So we are located in the, when I say we, it's really me and my allies. I've got, a number of programs like Dr. Taylor, who runs another program, but we're located in the Shriver Center with the Choice program. And in fact, one of our students is doing did her introductory community partnership project with Choice, and she may do that again, So yeah, we're all connected up there, and it's a really great group of people. Cindy's the admissions expert here, so she would be able to help if there are any questions specific to that too.
Absolutely. And I believe I emailed you all with reminders, so you can email me back at that exact email, and I'll share it on the chat too if you have any other questions in terms of like requirements, admissions, the admissions process, deadlines, etc.
Yeah, can you clarify what that would be for this particular for me certificate? So what does that look like as far as deadline?
So it's August 1st is the deadline, but you
Okay.
can apply anytime before then. You know, if
Okay.
you want clarity, and because the admitting is done on a rolling basis.
Okay.
So basically, I review, well, first the admissions folks review, make sure all the pieces are in place. And then once they say all the pieces are in place, I review the application, make a decision, and then that goes to the graduate school, and they, they do a final review, and then you're notified. So it doesn't really take that long, Cindy. I think I'd say a couple of weeks, basically, for the whole thing to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think what usually takes long is if you've sent something that maybe is, I don't know, a mistake, or you're missing a document or a transcript, things of that nature. But for the most part, if you've submitted everything, I mean, we just send it over to, the graduate school, the GPD gets it. And Sally, I mean, you're pretty good with reviewing applications pretty quickly. So, yeah, I'm gonna say a few weeks,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
within a month, probably.
Yeah. 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 So that gets, then you know one way or the other, you know.
But we also let you know, like, okay, your application has been received. It is now complete. It has been sent to review. And, we keep up with you. And if you have any questions, I'm always available as well in the email quickly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm good
And
with emails.
Shemaya, I don't know if you've had experience with UMBC specifically outside of choice.
No, just choice.
Okay. Well, Adriana can speak to this because I think Adriana's at UMBC, but it's I feel like it's a very student-centered place. I think that's the culture that I found when I got there, and it's been very consistent. So, if you have questions, if you have concerns, people are expected to get back to you, in a timely fashion.
Yes, that 100%.
Yeah, and that's from the top down. We have a really amazing new president, Valerie Shears Ashby, who's taken over from Dr. Rabowski, and yeah, she's out there. She is talking to students and faculty. She's talking to people all the time, and kind of creating I think, a really excellent atmosphere that we all benefit from. Yeah. So Adriana, you're back. We missed you.
Adriana, if you have any questions, please, please, please feel free to share.
Yeah, we're maybe putting too much pressure.
It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. If you want to share your questions in the chat, that's fine too. I can read your questions out loud if you are having connection issues.
Unmuted. And we can't hear you though.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay. Yeah. We could, and then you went back to mute.
It's okay. We can always we're recording this, so we'll share it with Adriana.
Yeah. That's so frustrating when it goes in and out like that. Yeah, and you can just, if you're around UMBC, you can also just stop by the office if you like. Another possibility, if you're interested, a recommendation and a possibility. One is our website has a lot of videos and podcasts with students, and I really think that you get a different perspective talking to a student than you can get from me or from Cindy. So I really recommend just, clicking around on the website and checking out those videos. And then if you're interested in talking to a student who's either doing or has done the certificate or the MPS, it's pretty easy for us to put you in touch with somebody. So that's something that's been helpful to some people applying in the past. On-campus apartments, that they should have a good connection. That's frustrating. Well, don't worry about it, Adriana. We know you've been there. It was nice to see you briefly too. And you'll have plenty of time to get back in touch with us. So any additional, Shemaya, any additional questions? Okay, well, I was glad you're able to stop your car and join us. Always scares me when people are driving.
Yeah.
And though
I had difficulty calling in, so I was just like,
okay, yeah. I mean, I do phone calls while I'm driving all the time, but you know, if there's a
monitor
screen you're looking at, yeah, that's the part that scares me. Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay.
much for dropping in, Shemaya and Adriana.
thank you both for your time.
Yeah.
Unless you have any other questions, please feel free to, log off, do your thing. But we're available through email as well. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
Enjoy
both.
this weather. Enjoy this weather, please.
I know we were wondering if anyone was going to tune in. It's such a beautiful day out there. But thank you guys for both joining us. And yeah, we'll hopefully you'll be in touch.
Thanks so much. You guys have a great night.
Okay. Thank you.